The air in this reclaimed substation hums with the scent of ozone and stale coffee, a thin film of dust settling on the hand-labeled vinyl. Wires, patched with kente cloth and electrical tape, snake across the console like ancient roots connecting 1966 to the signal streams of 2036. The war surplus transmitter glows, a stubborn heart beating against the city's electric pulse.
Black Star Pirate Radio.
In Oranjesicht, we're reading 65 degrees Fahrenheit with sunny. Wind check, northwest at 7 miles an hour. Our first signal this evening. A proposed Family Values African Charter is being condemned by rights groups as regressive and dangerous. This isn't just policy, it's a foundational challenge to human dignity.
Indeed, Togee. The draft African Charter on Human Rights and Family Values, currently being circulated by the African Union's Executive Council, explicitly defines family as a union between a man and a woman. This directly exposes LGBTQ+ individuals, single mothers, and non-traditional households across all 54 member states to legal discrimination and social marginalization, contradicting existing human rights instruments, like the Maputo Protocol on Women's Rights.
This isn't about preserving timeless tradition, it's a strategic reinterpretation. It weaponizes the language of family to suppress the diverse expressions of kinship and community that have long existed in many African cultures, turning cultural fluidity into rigid, exclusionary dogma. The harm isn't abstract. It impacts people's ability to belong, to inherit, to be recognized as full citizens, drawing a false line in the sand where historically circles of care were expansive.
So the architecture itself is designed to exclude. Instead of this restrictive framework, we could champion a Pan-African framework for family values that embraces genuine Ubuntu, where I am because we are extends to all forms of consensual, caring relationships. A viable alternative would be for civil society groups to draft and advocate for an inclusive African charter that aligns with international human rights law and recognizes the full spectrum of diverse family units, presenting it directly to national parliaments before the AU's final vote.
Patching in a caller, the critical thinker. You're on the signal.
Good evening. I'm calling about this charter. Who benefits from this family values charter, really? It sounds like it just creates division and marginalizes people. What's the real agenda here, and who pays the price for this social engineering?
The neon tube flickers, the color of a wound that won't close, and the room holds its breath for a second. Copy that, bringing it back to the main thread.
The primary beneficiaries appear to be conservative religious and political factions, seeking to consolidate power by appealing to traditionalist sentiments, often funded by external actors with anti-LGBTQ+ agendas. The price is paid by millions of Africans whose rights and identities are threatened. The immediate next move for rights groups like Amnesty International and local LGBTQ+ organizations is to launch coordinated national advocacy campaigns, directly lobbying individual AU member states to reject the draft charter and instead reaffirm commitments to universal human rights, stressing the economic and social costs of legalizing discrimination.
That's a critical vector, Lex, pushing for national human rights commissions to reject the draft, bolstering the existing Maputo Protocol. This is about building a consent-based civic architecture, not one dictated by fear. Now, let's pivot from social architecture to environmental decisions with global ramifications. Our next signal. Canada has endorsed an embattled marine parks plan to relocate 30 beluga whales. This decision raises serious questions about animal welfare and the integrity of conservation efforts.
This involves Marineland, the notorious Niagara Falls Marine Park, and its plan to transfer 30 beluga whales to an undisclosed U.S. facility believed to be Mystic Aquarium. The Canadian Department of Fisheries and Oceans, DFO, approved this move under the Animal Welfare Act, despite Marineland's extensive history of animal cruelty charges and welfare concerns, including previous high mortality rates for its belugas. The primary exposure is to these 30 sentient beings, facing significant stress, injury, or even death during transport and adaptation to an unfamiliar captive environment.
This decision continues a lineage of human dominion over nature, treating these magnificent creatures as transferable property rather than living beings with complex needs. It disregards indigenous perspectives that often view marine life as kin, vital to the balance of the world. The concrete image here is a majestic beluga, accustomed to its own social structure, being crated like cargo, losing its ancestral song in transit, a profound cultural wound echoing the forced displacement of any community.
Exactly. This isn't a solution. It's moving a problem. A viable alternative, championed by groups like the Whale Sanctuary Project, is the relocation of these belugas to a genuine ocean sanctuary in Nova Scotia. This offers them a more natural, expansive environment for rehabilitation and allows for potential rewilding, rather than simply transferring them to another confined for-profit spectacle.
We've got someone.
This is outrageous. What's the benefit to Canada or anyone for letting Marineland move these whales? It just sounds like a way for them to avoid accountability. Who really pays for this, beyond the whales themselves, and what's the next step to stop it?
The perceived benefit for Marineland is financial, allowing them to reduce operational costs and avoid further scrutiny of their facilities by offloading animals. The Canadian public pays through a degraded reputation for animal welfare oversight and the ethical cost of complicity. The chosen next move involves animal rights organizations like Animal Justice pursuing legal challenges against the DFO's approval, arguing it violates the best interests of the animal clause in the Animal Welfare Act, while simultaneously pressuring Mystic Aquarium to refuse the transfer. The next move is about challenging the legality and ethics of this structural transfer. We must assert the provenance of these animals' lives, not just their ownership. From the fate of belugas, we now turn to the raw power of nature itself.
Our final signal of the evening, Typhoon Jangmi, has swept northwards, leaving 23 injured in Japan. This is a stark reminder of our planet's volatile architecture.
Typhoon Jangmi made landfall in Miyazaki Prefecture on Kyushu, then tracked across Shikoku and Honshu, causing significant disruption. Concrete facts include 23 confirmed injuries, widespread power outages affecting over 20,000 households in Kagoshima, and severe travel disruptions, including canceled train services and flights across the affected regions. This storm exposed the vulnerability of coastal infrastructure and rural communities to extreme weather events, especially during Japan's monsoon season, exacerbating existing landslide risks.
The cultural fabric of Japan has always woven in a deep respect for and resilience against natural forces. Yet this event reminds us that even with sophisticated preparation, the sheer scale of modern typhoons can overwhelm. It's an image of a community bracing, adapting, and rebuilding, honoring traditional knowledge of sea and wind, but now facing a new intensity. The spirit of gaman, perseverance, tested by climate change, pushing the limits of existing civic architecture.
So the current early warning and infrastructure systems are under immense pressure. A viable alternative would be to integrate hyper-localized, AI-driven predictive modeling for disaster zones, capable of forecasting microclimates and specific landslide triggers with greater precision. This would enable preemptive, mandatory evacuations based on real-time risk data for vulnerable populations, moving beyond broad regional warnings to street-level alerts.
I live in Kyushu, and we felt Jangmi. Our warning system is good, but what about after? The cleanup is slow, and some roads are still out. What's the long-term solution here? Who pays to rebuild? And what's the concrete next step to improve our resilience?
The cost of rebuilding will fall largely on national and local governments, with significant economic impact on the agricultural and tourism sectors in Miyazaki. The chosen next move involves a national initiative to implement decentralized, community-managed disaster preparedness networks, combining advanced tech with local knowledge. This includes deploying mobile emergency communication hubs immediately post-storm and conducting a rapid, transparent review of current evacuation protocols in Miyazaki and Kagoshima to optimize future responses, building on existing community ties to create self-sustaining resilience hubs.
Excellent. The next move is about fusing technology with community wisdom for a more robust civic architecture, honoring provenance and dignity in the face of nature's power. We're not just observing, we're designing. Stay with us.
Play the next move.
Black Star Pirate Radio.
Continue the signal at TogeeVision.com. Tune in, Sparks and Stories, Gig Passport.